Hello everyone, it's a very sunny day in May. My name's Suzanne and I garden and grow cut flowers in Devon in the UK. I'm sorry if you can hear in the background, I live in a very agricultural area and there's an awful lot of grass cutting going on at the moment. It's mainly a stock area, so mainly keeping cattle and sheep. So what they do at this time of the year is they're making their hay and their haylage and silage. So an awful lot of tractor noise, but hopefully it's far enough away that you won't hear it. And today I thought we would go and have a look around the cottage garden. I've not been doing a lot of gardening in the cottage garden this weekend. I've mainly been in the cut flower patch, but I have got a few little jobs I want to do. I just want to go round and take up any of more of the bindweed I can see coming up. I have to give it a really good go now, because as the beds get fuller, it's really difficult to actually get in and do anything about it. So I have to get as much of it out as I can now, and then do another lot in the autumn when I'm cutting plants back, and then again next spring. But during the height of summer, I'm afraid the bindweed more or less gets left then. I've also got a little bit of ground elder in the wall just behind me here, which again is getting quite hard to get at, but I'm trying my best to do that. The other thing I want to do is I've just got a few annuals that are desperate to get out of their pots to go in. I've got some Ami Majus which will be quite happy to be planted today because it's going to go in quite a shady bed, so that should be okay. I worry that perhaps it is a bit hot and sunny for planting out today, so we will see, fingers crossed. What I will do is dig the hole, then I will pour water into the hole, then I will plant the plant, and then I will water the plant again, just to make sure that there's moisture below the level of where the pot is for it to encourage the roots down into that. So we've got some salvia, viridie, this is the blue denim, and I've got one lavteria left, so we'll find a hole for that one to go as well. And that was just a spare from the cut flower patch. So let's go and take a look at what's blooming in the garden in May. I've painted my pond, so my fish obviously are much happier now they've got a nicely painted house. There's a shabumpkin. There are 5 in there. The others are hiding under the lily. So here's the cistus we planted a few weeks ago. So this one is flowering now, which is lovely. These are my geraniums that have been staked. Some of them are holding up a little bit better than others. The Aquilegia are all covered in green fly and ants farming the aphids for their sap. So I haven't been able to use very many of the Aquilegia in cut flower arrangements, which is a shame because they're just lovely. The snow in summer is fully flowering now. Obviously the bulbs are all going over now, so bluebell there. We've got a few wildflowers in here. I call them wildflowers rather than weeds. So there's some red campion there, and some herb robert down here. But I don't, for me, I don't feel that's doing any harm staying in the garden. So that's not a weed for me. And in fact, I have lots of speedwell, which we'll find some of that later. Here's this geranium where I have trouble with the grass growing out of it. And you can see the support's just managing to hold it from going completely flat. The reason this one's a lot flatter than the others, I think, is because I've been in there rummaging around trying to get the ground elder out. Some more herb robert in here. And this is another weed, people would call it. This is called ground ivy. But again, I think that's quite sweet, and it doesn't seem to harm anything in any way, so that can stay. I don't know if you all know, but I don't use any sprays on my plants. So this rose that's getting black spot here now, it's also got evidence of, hang on, let me just try and focus. So there's evidence of green fly on here as well. Here's a bit. But because I don't spray, what I've done, because clearly this rose is struggling, it's got green fly, it's got black fly, is I've given it a really good feed with some seaweed feed, and I will do that again in a couple of weeks to hopefully give it the energy to fight it off. One of the problems here is that the rock bed is quite high up here, so it's not a very, very deep bed, and I suspect with it being so dry now as well, it's probably, this rose is under stress, and when it's under stress it's more prone to getting the problems with it. In contrast, a rose that's not in stress is this one over here. It stays moister because it's got a nice deep bed. It's got, if you like, the dead nettle acts as a mulch to help keep the moisture in, and as a result you've got really lovely lush new growth, and you've got buds that don't appear to have any evidence of any pests on them. I have fed this one nonetheless, but it's worth thinking, if your plant has problems, why is it stressed? And I definitely think in the case of that one that it will be because it's very dry. We don't do a no-mow May in the cottage garden because we have wildflower areas that we've grown specifically to keep long. So we feel we're doing our bit for no-mow May with that already. So we've got the pink lupin here, but no sign of the blue as of yet. She says, I think this is, it looks quite pinky, but actually I think that is the blue. Is my favourite, I think, and the two of them are a really nice contrast next to each other. We've got the catmint here, the wallflowers obviously going over now, the statues, lamb's ear, and there's a fair gap back here, so I think I'm going to probably put some of the Ami back here because Ami's quite tall. I don't know if you can see, if I can focus you, but I'll try and point. That is a bit of bindweed, and the problem is this hedge is where the bindweed comes in from, but that's a bit we'll have a go at with a hori in a minute. And the hori, by the way, is my tool, which I'll show you in a minute, which I use to get the bindweed out, to try and get as much root as I possibly can. I've been watering this pittosporum and this broom because they were moved not very long ago, and now it's suddenly gone quite dry, so I've been trying to keep them watered so that they don't die. The buddleia is taking off here in the corner. This is a blue, and then this one down here will be a white, and it's my second attempt at a white buddleia here. So whether or not that's a fatal mistake, we'll wait and see, because the first one died. So that'd be interesting to see. This geranium here is the hybrid, so it won't self-seed. This is Roseanne, whereas this one is just as blue, but it will self-seed. I think this one's Johnson's blue, but I'm not positive about that. Verbena boreensis back here, not really doing very much yet. Oh, and here we go. This is Gertrude Jekyll, this rose. And if you want a rose for cut flowers, don't grow this one because it's so thorny. I'll try and show you how thorny. Look at that. You wouldn't want that in a vase of flowers. I've got a few alliums starting to come up now. I've got a few different varieties. I can't remember what this one is. We'll have to wait and see. And then there's another bit of a gap here in front of the mullein here, where I think I could probably have some more Ami. So that will go in there. Oh, and I had a surprise the other day in this pot, because there is a dahlia coming up in here that I was sure was dead. So this is a dinner plate dahlia, Cafe au lait. I don't really use it for cut flowers. It's just too big-headed, but it's quite nice in the garden. But it does mean I will need to support this. I've got my lilies, pot lilies out now. They're sort of a mix of colours. Put some sweet peas in the end here, and the forget-me-nots are having a party back here. So I've got a few things. I never know if it's Aubritia or Brietta. I grew that one from seed. Obviously the forget-me-nots. This is Aquilegia pink petticoats. Grew that one from seed. The Juga or the Bugle. And then there is a rose in here, which is the happiest I've ever seen it. It's one of those roses which really just likes to sort of scramble around, and it's always been so unhealthy. So I'm really happy to see how green and glossy it looks. So I can't wait to see how that flowers. There's some more red campion in here, some Aquilegia there. This is another buddleia. This is more of a pinky one. I'm trying to struggle around the back here now. I might edit this bit out. Ooh. So we can see over here we've got the foxgloves coming into flower now, and the iris. And another surprise turned up in here. There is another dahlia. That is Mexican Star, and I had planted a Veronica there, not knowing the dahlia was there. So the Veronica will move and the dahlia can stay. The borage seeds that I put in just in this hay space back here had germinated, and then for some reason they've died, so they're not there anymore, which is a bit of a shame. But I'm sure I can find something else to fill that hole in. We've got more alliums coming up here with these foxgloves. Again, the irises. Oh, and there are some alliums that are out there. This is a hollyhock here, a sort of a real purpley colour. And you can see there's colour on the roses now, so it won't be long until, in fact, there's a rose back there that's flowering. I think that one might be Waltz Time. It's not the colour I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a purpley colour. It's quite pink. It might not be the variety that it was labelled as. Another dahlia, would you believe, after me thinking all the dahlias had died, there's another single. It's Mexican Star, but the bees really like it. We've got a few annual scabious there, more Achillea, Verbena boreensis. That was Griselinia that I put in the very late winter. A few feverfew seedlings there. Those more Achillea, geraniums. And then I have got lots of young plants I've put in. So I put in some more catmint. So there's one there. I'm sure there was another one here. Oh, that one doesn't look so healthy, but there's one there. It's just starting to bud up. So there'll be some flowers on that. That's a pink one, I believe, but I've got pink and white. This gets a little bit of shade from this tree here, but not a huge amount. Obviously more irises. A Physocarpus, Darts Gold, some more foxgloves, and we've actually got a different colour one here. A lot of them are the wild ones, but got a cream one there. The Phaeum geranium, I've got several, and they've all got mildew just where it's really dry. I'm tempted to Chelsea chop them. Just chop them right down, give them a water and let them come back. It's just the bees love them so much. I don't want to ruin the bees' fun. So I might wait for some more of the other geraniums to flower and then chop those ones back. The peony is all budded up. Just not quite ready yet. My brachyglottis back there, lots of more Aquilegias, and lots of geraniums. I mean, I love geraniums because they're so easy and they really ground cover things. Now here's a geranium that for some reason I didn't stake. So you can see it's just completely collapsed in the middle. I don't know why I didn't stake it. Luckily it doesn't look too terrible. Feverfew back here and some gladiolus, Verbena borealis, and then I can see this is an aster here. So that'll be the later end of the summer that we'll see that one. I've had a rabbit in here, which is really annoying because my hydrangea had loads of new shoots down here and the rabbit has just come off and nibbled all the shoots. So I've still got these tall lanky bits, but obviously it's nicer if it had new bushier growth from the bottom. But never mind, at least it's still alive, at least it didn't eat it right off. Another allium there. And then these are also eaten by the rabbit. I've got several of these. These are a perennial gypsophilia, a pink. So I've got 5 of those, but the rabbit seems to have taken rather a liking to them and nibbled them all off. So we'll see. One of the last tulips hanging on. Now, how this geum got in here, I don't know because it's the wrong colour for this corner. This is Blazing Sunset or Sunrise. I'm not going to move it now, it can stay there this year, but I've got to remember to move those. Although I don't know why I'm so precious about colour. A cottage garden really should just be a mix of colours and shouldn't really worry. Oh, and do you remember in my last cottage garden tour I said I really like this wildflower and I don't consider it a weed? I think I've identified it. Correct me, people, if I'm wrong, but I think it's purslane, and I really like it. So I've got it in a few areas in the garden and I let it grow. This is a white bugle down here. It's a little bit too sunny here, so it doesn't do as well. Sting nettle. This is a rose here that we dug up, and basically it was, I'll try and find a picture and put in, there was this huge hedging rose here that never flowered and just took up the whole garden. But it puts out, because there's still probably root in there, it puts out all these runners and it just keeps appearing and I have to keep pulling it off. There's another one there. This is a white stilby here. Hellebor's finishing over. This is the tall anemone. This is a white. A few more alliums there. And I think some of the gaps back here are where I'm going to put some of the Aquilegia. Especially, I don't know if it might be too shady for it, but there's a big gap here with the wall and I just feel like it could do with some height. So we'll probably put that in. Oh, fringe cups here. That's a pulmonaria. Oh, I've got a little bit of slug damage to my hosta, but again, because I don't use any, I don't use slug pellets or anything like that, I expect a little bit of damage and I just try not to worry too much about it. Another rabbit-eaten gypsophilia. My Fatista seems to be recovering. I don't know if you remember, it was really frost damaged, but it's put on a whole lot of new growth now, so it looks much, much happier. So I'll just pan around so you can see what we've looked at so far to give you more of an idea of the garden. There is a clematis on that obelisk there. I think that rose, when it flowers on the end of the building wall there, will be lovely. And there's a lot of buds on that archway as well. So we've just basically walked around there. But you see what I mean about this could do with a bit of white and a bit of height or something here, definitely. And then moving around, I don't even know where this grass came from, but I think it's a weed, although again, it depends on if you like it or not. But I saw some in the woods when I was walking the dog, I don't think it's a particularly nice grass. This is mainly Rebecca's back here, but you see what I mean about all the Thayum geraniums have got mildew. So I am really thinking about Chelsea chopping them. But this bed will be absolutely taken over by Rebecca's at some point. There are loads of them in here. At the moment, it's geraniums and aquiledias. But there's a few other things showing themselves. Potentilla there. This lady's mantle is really put on a lot of growth now. Quite a nice fern back there that I like. That's an aster in there. So again, a bit of colour later on in the year. There's definitely a bit of a hole here where I need to put something. So I think I'll put some of the salvia in here. And I know I did spot some more bindweed back here somewhere, so I'll have a root around. This is another really poorly rose. It just really isn't happy. I mean, these leaves have even gone crunchy. So again, I've given it a really good feed in the hope that it cheers up a bit. It's funny because this one next to it, which I don't like this rose, looks a lot nicer than the one I really like, and they're right next to each other. So who knows? And then we go back round into my workshop, which I warn you, I still haven't washed the pots. I keep saying I'm going to do it. Every week I tell you I'm going to do it. I did start. I know that's not brilliant, but at least I made a start. And then in here are way too many zinnias. Just zinnia city. I've got a few other things. It's not all zinnias. Got some Dorcas there. And these are a few cuttings that have come out of the hydro propagator. Got a couple of dahlias in here, just because I'm a bit dubious about them at the moment. I'm just watching this area here to work out if I think that is gall or not. Because if it is, I'll have to dispose of the dahlia. So that's why they're in here and not out with the others. I was playing with flowers the other day. Look at this iris. Isn't that lovely? The roses smell absolutely beautiful, but they've blown a bit now. That's been sat in that bucket for a day or two. Oh, and here are some pots I have cleaned. So I get some brownie points. And then I was just having a play with some little posies. Okay, so here's the bit of bindweed here, right up against this fence. And this is my very well used hori knife. I've got quite a rounded handle and the blade goes right through, so it's nicely weighted, and I love this tool. And it allows you to get really deep down. It's really good for things with tap roots as well, like dandelions. Obviously I can't get the root that goes under there, but I do always, when I dig a bit up, I always just see if I can see any more, because any white bits of root that you leave in there will be new growth points for another one. But because it comes in from behind here, it is, see, there it is. And it, as I said, I'll just try and show you. So this is all galvanised here, and then you can just see that is the bindweed root there, which is coming from underneath the galvanised, which is what I suspected. So it will always come from there, because even if I dig that bit off a bit, there will still be another bit behind there for it to come through from. But that's just confirming to me that I've got as much of it as I can. Okay, so baby bindweed, here is one here. Follow the plant right down until you find where it's actually rooted. So I had to move the bit of couch grass because I really couldn't show you the root, but here we go. The couch grass actually is the one where the root just goes on and on and on and on and on, and it spreads through runners, so we've got rid of that. So we're going to get our hori into the root of this bindweed here. Okay. This isn't very easy to show you because there's an aqualegia right in the way. But basically, can you see, if you look at this long bit of root, is a piece of root that's obviously been left in the ground from last year. And then what has happened, because if you leave any piece of root like this in the ground, the bindweed can then grow a new stem from it, which is what it's done here. So that's why it's really important to try and get out as much as you can. So I will just check, because I think this probably is all of it, because this is the broken bit that was left behind, but I will just have a dig around and check that I can't find any more in there. Okay, so here we are. Here is where we're going to put one of our ammies. Let's just try and focus. So it should be quite moist back here because it's quite well shaded, and it is, but we'll still nonetheless just pop a little bit of water in our bowl. There we are. And then hopefully this plant has got a fair enough root system on it. So there's some nice roots there. It's quite keen to get planted out, this one now, I think. So pop them in a hole, and then we'll obviously backfill. Yeah, now we just hope that the rabbit doesn't eat it. Thank you so much for coming along with me in the cottage garden today. I hope your gardens are starting to come to life, and I hope you don't have too many problems with bindweed and ground elder. But all we can agree on is it's good for the soul and good for your health to be out in your garden. So enjoy, and I'll see you next week.